Good morning, and thank you, Dominic, for the introduction. I'm here, as Dominic said, to talk very briefly about the potential for Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Netflix, or the horrible acronym of GAFAN, in the TV-like advertising market. There's been a lot said recently about the current decline in TV advertising revenue over the past 18 months, and we forecast that the market will be down about 4.5% this year and marginally next year. However, as we can see, the total video advertising market is continuing to grow, up marginally in 2017 and up over 3% next year. While broadcaster VOD, here in yellow, is increasing, this is not by enough to offset the decline in NAR. So where is this growth coming from? Non-TV video advertising will be up over 20% this year and next, albeit from a smaller base. By Ender's estimates, about 80% is taken by just two players, which are, of course, Facebook and Google's YouTube, although these figures do include their payments to content partners. The two companies' income is pretty much entirely advertising revenue, and they are relentlessly driving change. So now TV, which for decades has been the home of video advertising, is having to compete against a wider pool of players for its revenue. And these players, while offering the standard 30-second spot, are also bringing in many new and innovative opportunities for advertisers to take advantage of. Of course, broadcasters are innovating also, firstly with their players. Channel 4 now derives 10% of its revenue via digital, and in the new year, 100% of its All 4 inventory will be available to trade programmatically. Sky AdSmart's addressable proposition is bringing new advertisers to the television medium and has just reached the 10,000 campaign milestone. But it's the digital players where formats are changing, with both Google and Facebook able to target consumers almost on an individual basis, in stark comparison to the broad demographics used for decades in TV. YouTube is probably the closest to TV with pre-, mid- and post-roll advertising. Not relying on a fixed linear schedule means the on-demand offer lends itself to skippable ads, with only about a third of ads watched throughout. YouTube TV's skinny bundles in the US, with a collection of broadcast and some premium channels, are starting to make an impact over there. But the UK is a very different market, with the PSBs still making up 70% of all TV viewing. Video is crucial for Facebook, both for user engagement and monetization. We estimate that Facebook will take about £500 million of video advertising revenue this year in the UK, and arguably it has been the most innovative in offering new formats. Facebook penetration in developed markets is already high amongst most demographics, so increasing engagement is key to Facebook's future growth. Video has been successfully deployed on its newsfeed for a couple of years, but the autoplay and short average viewing time for video ads can make compelling creative difficult to produce. The recent launch of Facebook Watch in the US, which contains long-form video, puts it more in competition with YouTube, and it's worth waiting to see whether it does in fact make significant inroads into sport. Snapchat is hugely popular among teens and young adults, and thus attractive to advertisers, while its video formats of full-screen, vertical video with maximum 10-second viewing time, an option to see more, makes it a really interesting proposition for advertisers which can successfully engage with their audience. The same is true with Facebook's Instagram Stories, where ads are played between content in a highly immersive environment. So while these major US tech companies have opened up new avenues for advertisers to reach consumers, we would question how much video advertising is competing for TV revenues. YouTube is a great complement to TV, but it's rarely a substitute for it, lacking the mass daily reach, broad demographics, and on many occasions, dare I say it, the quality environment. So we would, however, argue that YouTube and Facebook have grown the overall video advertising pie, bringing new advertisers in, as well as attracting a proportion of some advertisers' TV budgets. It's interesting to note, though, that the lead adopters of new video ad formats haven't been established brand advertisers. Companies such as mobile game studios, which are highly data-driven, are an important direct response advertiser category for Facebook. They themselves can see a tangible return on their advertising investment with Facebook's advanced ad targeting capability, and they think that's indispensable. It is, though, worth noting that much of Facebook video advertising is very un-TV-like, what was often termed rich media, more animated GIFs than video. The vast majority of its video, and thus the ads, are served on the newsfeed. The strength of the newsfeed is that it quickly reaches audience niches through the personalized environment, and also reaches potentially a large audience scale through likes and shares. However, the distribution and discovery pattern of the newsfeed means that half the total views of a piece of content will be seen just one day after it is shared. This dictates what sort of commercial video content thrives on the platform: short form, native advertising, promotional clips, and which ones that don't, such as long form and mid-roll advertising. Similarly, Facebook Live only makes sense for promotion. To date, it has not succeeded in creating an advertising model that supports good quality content. As a result, promotions dominate: politicians, sports franchises, attention seekers, etc. Facebook Watch, which launched with underwhelming content, is attempting to create a rich television-like ecosystem that will attract TV advertising. Facebook hopes to kickstart the ecosystem by funding the initial programs itself, and then will operate the platform while others fund content so as to share in an ad revenue split with Facebook. Given the cost of quality long-form content and the current market saturation of it, at this point we think this seems optimistic. A major issue for Facebook and YouTube is that social media and short-form content is better suited to the small mobile screen or desktop, but video viewing on these platforms is tiny in comparison to viewing on the big TV screen. We believe connected TVs are the new frontier of online video advertising growth. They represent an opportunity for premium online video ads, combining the visual impact of the TV screen with real-time return path data. Connected TV ad spend is now worth £180 million in the UK, up 60% year on year, and 3% of total video ad spend, including TVs, or 12% if you exclude TV. Google clearly believes in connected TVs, and in fact 10% of all YouTube viewing is now on TV globally. In the UK, it's up to 15%. Now, Google's long recognised that a major challenge is to own access to the TV set. Once the domain of the standard EPG providing the only route to broadcast TV, now we have smart TVs, dongles, pay TV set-top boxes, which have revolutionised how and what people can access on the big screen in the corner of the living room. The Apple TV device has grown to become a sizable business line, but with smart TVs, basically all that is available for new buyers outside the very entry-level devices, most new TVs will already have the features and apps that these devices seek to add. So the battle for the tech giants is shifting to software provision for TV manufacturers, with Google's Android TV being incorporated by Sony and others. It'll be interesting to see how many TV manufacturers incorporate Amazon's Alexa voice services, even if Amazon can't get them to run the operating system itself. In fact, Google's got a four-pronged assault in the form of YouTube apps, Chromecast streaming sticks, Android TVs, and DoubleClick, their programmatic advertising platform, which is eagerly pitching to TV broadcasters. Growing TV set viewing is crucial for YouTube's strategy of attracting more brand advertisers, but the higher ad yields on connected TVs will, over time, also make new types of high-quality ad-funded content viable on YouTube, benefiting the whole ecosystem. Of course, this trend makes YouTube even more of a direct competitor to broadcasters, straining the relationship further. Facebook's TV app is now available on many TVs, but establishing a presence is not going to be easy. Unique, long-form content is the key to driving audiences and video advertising revenues for GAFA and subscriptions for Netflix. SVOD is becoming the norm for UK TV viewers. In fact, my 80-year-old father asked me at the weekend what Netflix was and how he could watch it. Today, 1/3 of UK households take an SVOD service, 7.3 million homes take Netflix, and 3.8 million take Amazon Prime, with the growth, as you can see, pretty much on a straight line. This and the rise of smartphones, tablets, and social media has led to a decline in viewing to the TV set, which is especially noticeable among younger age groups. Kids and adults under 24 watch 40% less TV than they did in 2010. It's important to note here, though, that they do actually watch TV for 1 hour, 40 minutes per day. It's also important to point out that as people get older and enter into different life stages, they watch more TV, with people over the age of 45 watching nearly 5 hours per day in the UK. Last year, SVOD and other online video accounted for just 10% of all video viewing, so the death of TV is grossly exaggerated. Having said that, GAFA is clearly impacting viewers' video habits. For the next few minutes, I'm going to focus on Netflix, as this company has the most fully formed long-form video strategy. And while it takes no advertising, it's very relevant to the future of the medium, being further along the path in terms of expanding the range of its content. If you're going to argue that the SVODs are going to eradicate traditional television, you would have to believe that what people actually want is less choice and fewer genres. As you can see on the right, almost half of what is viewed on television are genres not even covered by the SVODs. The vast majority of Netflix content is scripted content. Now, people love scripted content, but they also need news, sports, current affairs, and other types of programming that doesn't have the library value that Netflix desires in its content. There is, of course, a public service element to this. There are segments of the pie that traditional broadcasters would not make if they did not have to, and the SVODs never will. But timely, informative programming, whether that be news, appointment viewing of entertainment formats, or sports, are currently the domain of traditional broadcasters. There is certainly ingress on the news and sports front from social media, and direct-to-consumer propositions from major sporting leagues could be inevitable. But right now, those genres are controlled by the traditional players. Sure, Netflix and Amazon, soon Apple and Facebook, are international platforms and are progressively investing in content in different markets. But can they cater for all these markets when television is such a localized medium? Just consider EastEnders, Coronation Street, and even I'm a Celebrity. While Gaffer, in time, might be able to create programming that resonates with the UK audience in the same way, is that the best use of their budget when the appeal of these shows is so territory-specific? Amazon's a retailer which is already winning the e-commerce war in the UK. It makes much more sense for Amazon to produce localized content in India, which may help them win the e-commerce battle in a potentially very lucrative market. With the locally produced content in foreign territories commissioned by Gaffer, hit the spot in that local territory, as it will also be made with international viewers in mind. I.e., do Germans want to watch German programs made for an international audience, or German programs made for a German audience? In the UK, foreign-produced programs perform badly on linear TV. As you can see on these two pies here, this is skewed by the top channels actually not showing much foreign content due to their PSB remits, but also because of poor performance in the past. Last year, there were only 3 foreign programs in the top 2,000 programs broadcast on TV in the UK that were actually made outside the UK. And the top one of those was Frozen, which was actually 1,215th of the number of programs. So far in 2017, there are none in the top 2,000 programs of the year. So the question then is, how much US scripted content do people really want? There is clearly a taste for it with over 7 million subscribers for Netflix in the UK, but how much local content can it replace? Will it remain largely complementary? So how is Netflix going as a business? Now, the company is very good at directing attention to their subscriber growth and announcements of their content spend, both of which are going up and up. But how do the two combine? The cash spend on content is growing largely in line with the company's growth in revenue. Netflix will spend about $7 billion on content this year, which includes its originals as well as its acquisitions. Its revenue per subscriber is growing. However, so is the amount spent on content per subscriber. In Q3 2017, worldwide revenue per subscriber is $26, while the cash content spend was $22. In order to pay for these costs, Netflix is continually going to the bond market to raise cash. They say that this massive cash burn is due to more upfront payments for the in-house content, which it's doing more of. There is an insinuation here that at some point it will be able to slow down making content, and this pressure will subside. The only problem with this is that it probably can't slow down. Binging is a real thing, and Netflix has trained and encouraged its subscribers to watch in this way. They need to have new content all the time, or subscribers will start to notice. Recent data out by Nielsen in the US, which measures TV audiences to Netflix, shows that the audiences to certain shows are very high. Marvel's The Defender here in pink is the Netflix show here. But however, it's worth pointing out that this data is actually from August, where there was no NFL, and when NFL has absolutely huge audiences in the US. However, these are very good for Marvel's The Defenders. But while there is no surprise that Netflix viewers binge, what is surprising is how quickly these originals lose their value. If you are going to watch an original show, you'll watch it much sooner rather than later. This data is unsurprising when you consider how Netflix deal with prominence on their platform. They show the user the new release for a short time, but if they don't bite, it then disappears. We can see this viewing trend here with The Defenders. Strong viewing of all episodes that quickly dissipates over just 2 weeks. For around $40 million, Netflix realistically gets a few days' worth of value from the show to their ecosystem. Now, this shape is replicated across Netflix original releases. No doubt their acquired content, which Nielsen have said make up 80% of their viewing, but is never ever mentioned by Netflix, has longer but more expensive impact in terms of viewing. Having a look at traditional releases, here's Poldark on BBC One earlier this year. There is obviously a sharp drop-off after each episode, but you can see there are 9 weeks' worth here of sizable value to the BBC, Certainly, it's got greater longevity than a Netflix original. So TV is going to remain in good health, with UK broadcasters continuing to produce high-quality programming relevant to the viewer. While GAFAN programming budgets are larger, they are creating content for global audiences. Content investment by the SVODs in the UK is small but growing, but it will not compete with the UK PSBs. We've highlighted in this chart the split between sport and non-sport programming here, as there's been a lot of speculation about GAFA coming in to bid for sports rights. To put this into perspective, the latest Premier League rights are £1.7 billion per season, which of course excludes all the production, ancillary programming and marketing that's contractually required. Will they bid for them, GAFA? It seems unlikely. Amazon are about to make the most expensive TV show ever, as they keep shouting, with The Lord of the Rings, possibly about $1 billion over 5 seasons, and with clear global appeal. Netflix revenue in the UK was probably about £400 million last year. Facebook get £30 revenue per month per subscriber in the UK. What does sport add to any content library? So SVODs will dominate commissions for super premium content that has international appeal. Localised content, which is the vast majority and the most popular, will continue to be provided by traditional broadcasters. Our forecasts for 2026 are that over 80% of all video viewing will be to existing broadcasters, though among the under-24s, as you can see, this does fall to less than 60%. So, in summary, the TV ad-light market will remain predominantly TV advertising, though broadcasters and UK platforms cannot rest on their laurels. They need to evolve, and collaboration between pay TV platforms and broadcasters is critical to this. They need to work together to drive advertising innovation. Can DoubleClick help with this, or is that question too difficult to ask for broadcasters? The really interesting battle will be over the TV set, and with this comes the importance in pure UK policy terms of retaining some sort of prominence for public service broadcasters. Aggregation models such as Amazon Channels will be interesting with both live and catch-up, a range of prices, and already a range of different types of content. We can expect to see more aggregators down the line. While social media and short-form content are growing the overall video advertising pie, how successful will their long-form programming propositions prove? And finally, we know that TV is the best brand-building medium, in part because of its ability to reach mass audiences very quickly. Thus, is data-intensive targeting and personalisation really the holy grail? Are more granular algorithms always the right answer? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gill. Well done. I'm going to invite one question, otherwise we're going to catch up with time. But I think Gill was fantastic for coping with that terrible interruption. Have you got any one question, or are you all... You're all satisfied. Fantastic. Gill, I'll let go. Thank you very much, Gill.